Good evening. Well, good evening from the United Kingdom, and it's great to be with you all this evening. And we're looking forward to this very special webinar that Living Values British Isles have put together in cooperation with Floyd Woodrow. These webinars are a regular feature of Living Values. There are many of them now, and you can access these previous videos and tonight's video if you go to the Living Values International website. Also, if you contact us, you can also get a copy. It will be posted on Vimeo at a later date. So welcome to everybody. It's good to have people with us actually at the webinar, but I know this webinar will be watched by many people worldwide over the next few weeks and months. Anyway, my name's Neil Hawkes. I'm chair of Living Values British Isles. I've been the chair now for, I think, about 27 years. So it's time someone else took over. And that's why Peter's sitting here as vice chair. Hopefully he will want to take over at the end of the year. But I've been saying that for 27 years, I think. Anyway, it's good to be with you. My passion is values and the development of values in the world. And I take every opportunity to promote values-based education. It's in that context that, well, I think 24 years ago, I met our guest. I met him in Turkey. Some of my family and I were on a holiday, and Floyd was staying in an apartment, a villa next door to us. And I didn't know at the time, but I was due to work with his wife, Sue, in her school in Herefordshire the following term. So it was an incredible coincidence that we got together. We soon became very good friends. I would say that Floyd is a mentor of mine in lots of areas of life, and I look to him to make sure I keep on my North Star, which he will share with us. Floyd Woodrow is extremely well known now in the United Kingdom and is spreading his net further afield in other countries too. He works with international companies, he works in school systems, he works with the British Army, he gives talks. He's the busiest person I know. I used to think I was busy, but Floyd leaves me standing. Floyd, welcome tonight. You've been an outstanding soldier. You've put together this transformational program called Compass for Life, which has a lot of values about it. So I'm going to invite you, if I may, to address us for a little while, and then there'll be an opportunity for others to ask questions if they want to. And then I'll conclude the session just before 7 o'clock. So a heartfelt welcome, Floyd Woodrow.
Neil, thank you so much for that very, very kind introduction. It was a bit of synchronicity, which I actually do totally believe in. And there's no doubt that values runs right the way through the heart of the things that I'm going to discuss now. And I'm going to talk to everybody about a subject I absolutely love, which is, it's always about performance for me, in the sense of how can we be the best version of ourselves? And although I talk about elite leadership and performance, what I mean by that is that being the best version of yourself is so important on what I think is a journey through life. To do that, I think you've got to know how to lead yourself fundamentally, but also to take people with you. I've never seen anybody get to the top of their profession without taking a team with them. And that is underpinned by the culture and creating the right environment and values. However, you've got to step into the pressure zone. There's no doubt in my mind that you need mental and physical resilience, but you also need the appropriate skill set. And what I talk about having a compass for life and a map that supports it. And what I love about this is I've literally done the program that I'm going to go through with you across the world. I've done it with 5-year-old children, and I've done it with some of the toughest CEOs you can possibly imagine, sports teams, and as Neil said, a raft of other groups. And I don't have to change it, because the map and compass is just fundamental to who we are as human beings. The compass itself has been around for the last 2,000 years. developed in the Han Dynasty. It was originally used for a bit of feng shui, where it was about harmonization of buildings, crops, and finding rare gems. But then it became used as a navigational tool with the military, and then for navigation, obviously from a maritime perspective. But it is about that wonderful thing of guiding us. North pointer on a compass, it always points north. For me, that's a super North Star. It's about where you want to be in the next 3, 5, or 10 years. It can be as big as changing the world to as small as playing the piano. The key for me is it takes you forward on a journey of adventure and experience. And what I find fascinating is that every single culture in the world talks about going on a journey. It's about that adventure of leaving home. It's about going through trials, tribulations. It's about having mentors. It's about forming teams. And then at the highest levels, giving back to society, which I always find phenomenal that every single culture talks about it. South Cardinal is about strategy. How are you going to get there? How do I bridge the gap? How do I break this journey down into small, achievable milestones to take me forward? How do I look at the situation from a factual perspective? This is about no emotion. How am I going to get there? But it is about wisdom, common sense, and judgment. How do I make sure that I'm bringing all of these themes together in the right way? East Cardinal, values. It's the absolute centerpiece of the compass. What drives you? More importantly, how do you take a team with you? How do you create trust, passionate debate, commitment, accountability, and being focused behind the team result? And the West Cardinal is about being a warrior. Now, by being a warrior, I don't mean that you're big and tough. I simply mean that you've got the strength of character to fight to get to each of the milestones that you set yourself. I honestly believe if you get the compass in equilibrium, in balance, you are difficult to beat. I also think that compass, when it's in balance, is what I term about real spirituality, which is about balance and harmony. And although I'm not talking about this from a religious perspective, I'm talking about just getting yourself in a place where you're pointing in the right direction. To back that up, we definitely need a map. This is my current map, and on here are all my dreams and aspirations, some to date, but also what I want to do in the future. The top right-hand corner is my current Super North Star, which is to have a leadership academy that transforms the way young people learn, lead, and communicate. I'm passionate about it. I want to take that to an international level because I think enabling the next generation to lead and understand how to be the best version of themselves is the way forward. But on this map are all the things that I want to do in life. And the thing about maps is they have been around for 25,000 years, originally on tusks, cave paintings, and lots of different cultures from ancient Greece to Babylon, right the way through to India, had forms of maps. And it's that tool which allows us to map our journey. So my first question to you is about the word potential. Because I want my talk to be interactive. I don't want you to just listen to me. I want you to think about things. How much of your potential do you think you're actually using today? Now, the question is, how much of your potential do you think you're actually using, not how hard you're working? It's quite important. What I'd like you to do in the chat box is just put a percentage in there. How much of your potential are you using today? What figure comes up? Thank you, Rona. Thanks, Nick. So I've actually asked this question around the world, and there's a big Gallup poll that actually looked at the same question, every business sector, and the average thing that came up was 60%, which I always find fascinating for two reasons, is that most people I come across are super talented. And what I think is if we're only operating at 60%, just imagine what happens if we get to 61, 62, 63. If I can engage a team to just give me a couple of more percent in terms of that development, and realizing that as human beings, we're continuing to grow, I think it's just a really important point to start off with. I also like the word legacy. I think the word legacy is important to sometimes take a step back to think about what our legacy is. And if I ask you that question, what's your legacy? What does the word legacy mean to you from a personal and professional perspective? What would you say? Just before you answer that question, I'd like you to watch this video.
Building a legacy has become somewhat of a lost art. Having the courage to leave behind a story that shines a light into the heart of others. The ability to give more than you receive and admire the endless actions it took. The time we have here is precious, and the way we spend it writes the story we intend to leave. What legacy will you leave behind? What is the gift that you have to share with the world? And will that gift echo through the minds and souls of many? Will your journey lay the foundations for others to aspire? Will that journey empower people to build something great because of your decisions to focus on the choices you've made? You don't have to achieve riches and fame to create a legacy that sparks creativity or inspires others to develop principles that align with their own journey. Your legacy could be led by simple acts of kindness, an approachable personality that's grounded by integrity, or an encouraging smile that fills an enjoyable moment. One of my favorite authors, Simon Sinek, has an amazing quote that says, "There's two ways to influence human behavior. You can either manipulate others or you can inspire them." I use this quote as a guideline to reflect on my day-to-day actions. In the role I play, am I manipulating the people around me, or am I creating an environment that inspires action? When it's all said and done, how will my story be told? What am I doing today that will make all the difference in their lives tomorrow? And did I give more than I took? I have an image in my mind of how my journey will play out. I spend every day piecing that image together because the end result is my legacy waiting to be shared. I've realized that if I look at it as one giant step, the journey feels too far away. But if I can see it as small steps of single achievement pieced together along the way, the journey becomes the legacy. See, what we do moment by moment is the story. A legacy is not just an end result. It is the continued effort we give in the life we live, placed in the current moment. Create habits and decisions that make the journey of your life easier to move forward towards during each moment you spend. Write a story that provides purpose for every step along the way. And remember, the courage to control a future outcome is all you will ever need to build self-belief.
So what does that word legacy mean to you from a personal, professional perspective? What would you tell me? What I'd like to do is come off mute. So anybody that's got something that they would like to say, please tell me now. What does the word mean? Personally and professionally, what does the word legacy mean? Who wants to start me off?
Go on then. I'll put my hand up. By the way, Neil, apologies for my earlier comment if you thought that I had a misaligned reason for wanting to be connected and the discussion. So thank you for the opportunity for me to put my thought forward. I've been talking about my legacy a lot recently, certainly during 2022, with all of the anxiety and frustrations that the world is continuing to deliver on each and every one of us. And I've had deep discussions with my kids about this as well, which is always a challenge. You know, they're grown up and they're able to interpret what I do personally in a meaningful way. And yeah, just within those sorts of close circles, I think my legacy has shifted dramatically over the last few years, where I'm feeling a completely renewed sense of personal purpose in the world of tech. I'm now aligning my North Star with a purpose where I'm far more content and feel as though I can be fulfilled in this industry that we call IT or technology, whatever, where because of the problems of the world, I am now aligning my North Star with a real sense of purpose, where I'm fully aligned with everything that I've been talking about for 20, 30 years, or feeling for that time as well. And I'm now putting all of my energy, enthusiasms, time, money, everything into that aligned purpose. And it's exciting. I feel as though I'm probably about 10 years too late with it. We should have started on this some time ago. But it's wonderful, but I'm also, obviously very concerned and somewhat worried that that the point of no return may already be around us right now, where my ambitions, my visions and whatever may not have the time scale to take a full effect. But we'll see. All you can do is align your purpose to those morals and that North Star and go for it.
Nick, I totally agree, but I would never lose hope. So for me, actually, I think the legacy is really important. And I think the key theme that seems to come from me is that whilst you have quite a big one, which I think is really good, you're also talking about your family. So the key thing is that even on the smallest scale, it is about probably leaving the right attitudes, behaviors, character for your children and family. And then hopefully one of the biggest ones for me is where we can have an impact, where we can help other people and take that as far as we possibly can. And then I think we've probably had a pretty fulfilled life. I think Ron has said a great one here, which is about the memory and the lives of young people and also helping them, which I think probably most of the people that will be on this call would do that. And for me, the balance for that is always about realizing that we can dream big. And the research behind having super North Stars and purpose and something that's taking you forward is phenomenal in terms of enhancing people's fulfillment. And I think it's a great word to be fulfilled, because when we're dreaming big, when we have passion, and you can sense it in your voice now, find real purpose and motivation. I see in Neil every single second I'm with him, that ability to want to transform the world, that takes us forward. But I've got a question for you, because I want you to dream big now. I'm going to give you 3 professions, and you can only choose one of the 3 professions. You can only be either a fighter pilot, a firefighter, or a surgeon. What I want you to do in the chat box is write which of those professions you want to be. I want you to think of a person in that profession and give that person a name. So, firefighter, fighter pilot, or surgeon. You can only be one of those 3 professions. Choose one. Think of a person in that profession and give that person a name, again, underneath in the chat box. You've got 30 seconds to do that. Perfect. Thank you very much.
I'm struggling with a name.
We're going to draw people doing different jobs. And the first job we're going to draw is a firefighter.
Have a think in your head what a firefighter looks like.
What's your firefighter called?
Mine's called Firefighter Gary. Firefighter Stan. Firefighter Simon. He's big and strong. He's got a big helmet on.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Next, we're going to draw a surgeon.
Have you thought of a name for your surgeon? Jim Bob. Jim Bob. He's a brain surgeon. I think he would brains. He gives you medicine.
That's his ambulance.
Yeah, we all
Okay, next, we're going to draw a fighter pilot.
This is his jet plane. He rescues people. He likes to do stunts in the air and stuff.
Okay, now who would like to meet these people for real?
When you want the dress up.
My name's Tamsin and I'm a surgeon in the NHS.
My name's Lauren and I'm a pilot in the Royal Air Force.
My name's Lucy. I'm a firefighter in the London Fire Brigade.
So who wants to know how to do an operation?
Who's putting it on?
I'll try my stethoscope.
We put this in here. There you go. Now you're a proper fighter pilot.
So into your ears. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
It's really good. It's much better, yeah, it's much better than my kids' one.
Isn't it interesting that that experiment was done around the world and there's no difference to the results whatsoever, barring a few percent? And it's not just about girls. I put it up about girls, but it's not just about girls. It's about boys as well. How often do we think that we've had certain people that have put people down when they've said they're going to do something or they want to do something? How often do sometimes people lower our expectation? Tim, I think you had your hand up at that moment in time.
Sorry, my hand was up pre one.
Oh, sorry. Listen, thanks.
So I've dropped it back down again.
Listen, don't worry. Thank you. And so for me, the key theme is it's about making sure that one of the legacies surely for us is to make sure we are showing people the height of their expectations can be whatever they want them to be. I think that's massively important. And the reason for it is because I think it's about making sure that when we're looking at a Super North Star, we're going forward. Now, some people will sometimes say to me, I don't know where I'm going, in which case then do as many experiences as you possibly can, because inherently you will find that Super North Star. But having a purpose, having a drive is important. And when I'm working with people that are leading organizations, I always ask, are you all pointing in the same direction? If I isolated your entire team, would they turn around and tell me exactly the same thing about where we're going? Because I always think if we're not pointing in the same direction, it becomes quite a difficult journey. And the reason for that Super North Star is because life is not a straight line. Sometimes I'm in a trough. I still need to know where north is, and my team needs to know where north is. I'm also not the perfect leader. So I always say to people, I need help on my journey. I need people to assist me. To do that, you've got to know where we're going. What I'm looking for in a Super North Star is that you are passionate, that you're thinking big, and most importantly, that you're a little bit scared. Because I always believe if you're not quite scared about the journey, you don't realize the difficulties you've got to overcome. And sometimes we don't aim high enough. We need to push ourselves, because once we're a bit scared, we tend to focus. We tend to become more aware of the things we've got to do to grow, to get the skill sets, to bring people with us. But I must know you can visualize it. And this picture was drawn by a 5.5-year-old child for their mum. It's a picture of a paratrooper, parachute on their back, sun in the background over their mum and sibling. Who do you think drew that when they were 5.5 years of age for their mum? And if you are remotely thinking it's me, I wish it was. It happens to be Felix Baumgartner, who went on to do the highest skydive ever, 24 miles in the air, and followed his dreams and literally completed something he'd thought about since he was a child. And I can give you so many different versions of what I've come across when people have spoken to me and gone on to do something maybe not as big as that, but started their own business, gone into a different job, started to become fitter, just had something that they could visualize to take them forward. But one of my favorite Super North Stars is this.
For me, sailing was about freedom. It's freedom of everything. It was leaving everything behind. My father died when I was 10. My parents instilled in me a sense of determination. So when I heard about the Whitbread Round the World race, it was just something I had to do. Sailing at that time was very male dominated. There were just no women anywhere in it.
The Whitbread Round the World race at 33,000 miles is the longest and most challenging on Earth.
I wanted to be part of this. I remember going to the skipper and he went, we're not going to be the only racing team in the world with a girl. And that's when I made the decision to put an all-female crew into the race. I didn't want a real job. I wanted adventure. I just thought that would be fantastic.
I was going to do everything I could to do it.
We didn't really take it seriously.
There was nothing to show that they would be acknowledged for anything other than failure.
I was so full of doubt and fear. All I was thinking was, am I the right person to do this?
3, 2, 1. The whitbread race is underway.
We weren't naive. We knew it was going to be hard.
We didn't think they would even finish the first leg.
It was something that we were told we couldn't do, but we were doing it anyway. It was the first time in my life I had stood up for something I believed in. And the harder it became, the more I wanted to do it. As we were finishing the first leg, I said, is that loads of little birds over there? And we realised it's thousands of people.
They were not there for us.
How many times were told we couldn't do it? You're not strong enough. You're not skilled enough. You'll all die. It was brilliant. Just completely overwhelming. What if I tell you about a young girl who had a dream about sailing around the world? What if I tell you that it did happen?
And again, that map is important. Having something that you can see. I do lots of work right across the spectrum. When I see children draw their maps, and I've seen children as young as 5 draw some of the most phenomenal maps that you can possibly imagine, it's really powerful. The thing about writing something down and drawing it, it becomes a bit of a commitment, and you are 42% more likely to do something when you write it down and draw it, which I think is quite an interesting dynamic. And when these things are put up onto a fridge, onto a child's wall, it becomes a really powerful draw. What's great about that Super North Star, though, for me, is once I've captured somebody or I've listened to somebody's imagination, I can then ask some pretty good questions. And all I do is I always say straight away when I hear anybody's Super North Star about how wonderful it is. And then I can just ask, how do we think we're going to get there? What do you think we need? And that to me is always about the South Cardinal being a strategist. And as I said, for me, it's about looking at facts, figures, detail, and just without emotion, what do we think those people need to do to get there? And that's when you've just got to have that nice little reality check. These are the things I'm going to have to do if I want to be that person, if I want to achieve that profession, if I want to lead that business. Facts.
Your oxygen tanks are stirred. Roger that. Hey, we've got a problem here. What did you do? Nothing. I stirred the tanks. Whoa. Hey. This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Gee, we have a situation brewing with the carbon dioxide. We had a CO2 filter problem on the limb module. 5 filters on the limb, which meant for 2 guys for a day and a half. So I told the doctor,
They're already up to 8 on the gauges. Anything over 15 and you get impaired judgment, blackouts, the beginnings of brain.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole. Rapidly.
Okay, people, listen up. People upstairs handed us this one, and we got to come through. We got to find a way to make this fit into the hole for this, using nothing but that. Let's get it organized.
Okay, let's build a filter.
That's the coffee going.
Yeah, it's literally poisoning the astronauts with every breath in and out.
Heads up, heads up. Heads up, people, look out now. What's this? That's what they gotta make.
What I love about that clip is far too often when I'm listening to people talk about things, we get all the facts on the table and then people tell me what they want and they should have more of, or they've got to have this. And then I think, well, you haven't got that. What you've got is what you've got in front of you now. How are you going to make the best situation from that information? What can we do? What's the reality? And what I love about that is the ability to take a step back And that's my question to you now is how well do you take a step back once you've got a super North Star to look at the situation from a factual perspective without emotion? How well do you look at contingencies? How well do you make sure you've got the right team, the right skill sets, the right resources? How do you break that journey down into small milestones? How do you make sure you've communicated that strategy so that every single person that's got to deliver it knows exactly what they've got to do and that they're accountable for the delivery of those milestones? There's clear, identifiable markers. And more importantly, how well do you follow it through without getting distracted by the day job, day-to-day things happening, week-to-week things? How well do you stay at the right level, a strategic level, to make sure you're guiding the compass in the right direction? In the chat box, write down how well you think you do strategy, and also give me a number for how well the team that you're most closely associated with does strategy. Score yourselves out of 10, 10 being perfect, but you cannot use a number 7. So in the chat box, give me 2 numbers, one for you, one for your team. How well do you think strategy is applied in whatever area you're involved in? That could be family, could be a business, could be anything. Great, perfect. And if you're an 8, you're doing really well. Remember, we can't have 7s, so I'm going to take it that's a 6. However, the key thing for me is it's good to think about it. I am actually going to challenge you, actually, to be fair, because it's rare I come across people that do strategy as well as they think they're going to do strategy. I have to work really hard at this, because sometimes what we forget is to communicate it. And to communicate, it's really important to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. Because for me, that's about building the right team, which leads me nicely into the East Cardinal, our ethos. I love the word ethos. It's a powerful word. It really helped me set up the compass and the idea behind it. And obviously, I've worked alongside Neil for a long, long time. And the values that we talk about for me are fundamental in how we're going to go forward as characters, as teams. And when I look at that, and if I said to you, what are the values that define the person that you are, which ones would you choose? Because as Neil will always point out, and all of you, if you're on this call, will know him well, they don't need to be laminated. And I was with a company yesterday where we asked this question and they spoke about values. And when I literally called them out to tell me what they were, they could not give me all of the values, in which case they're not being applied. They're a great organization. And yes, the values are being held up, but they're not explicit enough. It's something that I can't quite see and tangibly touch. And therefore, under pressure, they may not hold up. If I was with you now in a room and I was comfortable that you knew each other, what I would probably say to you is in a moment, I'm going to choose one of you. I want you to walk out of the room, and then I'm going to ask everybody in the room that knows you about you, your strength, your weaknesses, the values they think you've got, and the values, if they had to give you values to improve your performance, what would they be? You can imagine the room goes quiet. And then I'll turn around, because I won't do that. I'll just say, but what do you want people to say about you? Because that's a key element for me about values. And more importantly, understanding what do we mean by that word. One of my favorite values is the value of fairness. It's a really strong value. I don't like bullies. I don't like things being unfair. So it's a really powerful value for me. But what I like to do is show people what I think it means. And I think it means something like this.
Jeg heter Selma. Og jeg heter Martin. Jeg heter Ask. Jeg heter Victoria. Jeg heter Lars. Og jeg heter Felicia.
Nå har jeg en liten jobb til dere. Jeg tenkte dere skulle putte de blå ballene i den ene vasen og de rosa i den andre.
Okay. Skal vi ta rosa i den og blå i den da? Nei. Annet. Blå i denne.
Men nå skal dere få belønningen deres.
Oi. Hva dette for noe? Hva dette for noe?
Ok, og nå kan dere åpne øynene.
Hva?
Jeg fikk Molly, grunnen til at du har fått mindre enn Thomas, det er faktisk fordi du er jente.
Det er kjemperart. Det er ikke bra. Det er skikkelig urettferdig.
Hva tenker du, Lydia?
Jeg jobbet helt litt, og så får vi ikke det samme. Jeg tenker at vi burde få like mye.
Hvorfor det?
Fordi ellers så blir det urettferdig. Det er liksom ikke forskjell på jente og gutt, da. Jeg tenker at det er feil.
Hvorfor er det feil?
Jenter er ikke mindre verdt enn gutter. Det har ikke noe å si hvis man er gutt eller jente. Sånn, jeg liker det.
What I love about those clips is when I play them with children, the conversations that I have with them, it always staggers me how wonderfully clear children see values, that it's crystal clear what's right, what's wrong, what's fair, respectful, not courageous. It literally, it always staggers my mind. And they're an exemplar for what we really need to do as adults. So I love showing what I think those things actually mean. But I'm passionate about why we need to be clear on what the values are and that they are highlighted on a regular basis to create the right culture, the right environment. When I look at performance, I always talk about mind, body, and environment. They have to be aligned. You cannot perform at your optimum. You cannot learn as effectively without those three things being in place. And that's where the warrior comes in, that ability to step into the pressure zone. And warriors, they come in different shapes and sizes. I love this particular girl, because when you look at that quote, we were scared. I get scared. So let's be clear, we all get scared, but our fear was not as strong as our courage, because that's the differentiator. It's about that ability to get mind and body in the right balance, because we've got to deal with stress. Stress, anxiety, worry, one affects the mind, one affects the body, one affects both. When we perceive that we don't have the right psychological or physiological resources, my actual belief, and there's nothing going to change my mind as yet, human beings can withstand anything when they have the right resources and the right things in place. And history would suggest I'm correct from a child's perspective to an adult's. However, what does that look like? And I look at two key areas: physical resilience, how physically fit you are, because that's the fundamental foundation. The Dalai Lama calls this wise selfishness. If we don't look after ourselves, our energy levels, we become fatigued. What that simply means is you won't give to other people. We never realize how important physical fitness is until we lose it. I've had 12 operations, I have 4 titanium plates in my jaw, 2 in my legs. I've had a number of other operations. And the key thing is that by being fairly fit, I've recovered quickly, but nothing was more important than getting fit. So the key thing is to put ourselves in that place beforehand to give us an edge. And actually, mental resilience is only founded on physical resilience, having that ability to be a fundamental start point. And when you look at that list, how well do you think you do that? We know what healthy food looks like. Water is probably a game changer. When you're hydrated, your mood, concentration, energy levels goes to another level. And just by drinking water, that will have a significant effect on your health. Movement. Human beings are designed to move. A walk a day, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, again, is more than sufficient to help you. Anything else is a plus. Relaxation, sleep. The research behind sleep now is phenomenal. If you only have 5 hours of sleep, you are likely to eat 22% more calories the next day. Electronic devices, probably one of the big addictions of the world. Electronic devices, looking at your phone, being on devices, sending emails, probably one of the biggest addictions that there is at this moment in time. and a time waster for the majority of the time. When people tell me they don't have time, and I say, well, look at the time you spend on the phone, and they're on that phone for 4 hours a day, I kind of smile, because in 4 hours, there's lots of things I can achieve. Again, family and friends and things to challenge your mind, all things to help you. But again, looking at it, if you just implemented some tiny habits, what would they be to take you forward and maximize that wise selfishness to have energy? The next one, my favorite, is mental fitness. How mentally fit are you? In a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask one of you to come onto the screen. And because I'm going to ask you some questions, I'm actually going to put you under a lot of pressure. I'm going to make this particular section for the person that I choose exceptionally difficult. I'm going to really challenge you. I just want to see how you perform when you're asked to do something you did not expect to do on this webinar. I want you to be clear, though, when I choose you, this is going to be difficult. If I'd done that in a room, I can assure you the room goes quiet. The key thing for me is what I normally say to people is, what are you thinking about? And my question is, what are you thinking about generally? There'll be something like, please don't pick me, Floyd. Or I'll stare at Floyd and make sure he thinks I'm confident, then he won't pick me. Or I'll look away and not catch his eye. Or indeed, Floyd, please pick me, because I can't wait to stand in front of people and show them that I'm in a good space. The voice inside your head, who does it belong to, do you think? Who does the voice inside your head belong to? You. The key thing is, the person that you speak the most to is you. So the key thing about that voice is making sure that it's a positive voice. And if I chose you, the first thing for me on resilience is self-awareness. What's just happened to my heart rate? So if I choose one of you in a moment, what do you think would happen to your heart rate? And you are quite right, it will go up. The thing is, that's just being self-aware. I need to be aware. The reptilian part of your brain will come alive, which I love, because what it's telling me is to be aware of what's happening. And now I need to focus. I focus by making sure I visualize what I want to happen. How do I want to be? What's this going to look like? And I'm just stabilizing my mind. I will always do breathing techniques. Breathing techniques are a gift. Once you understand about breathing correctly, in an appropriate way, it will transform your physicality, calms you down, gives you energy, helps you sleep. And that's just by adapting breath. Power words. Courage, resilience, determination. The reason I say that is because I practice those words. Opportunity to see how good you would be where you are, Floyd, would be a self-talk theme I would use. I would also be thinking about the things I've done before. I've done these things before. Why would I not be confident? Again, I stack my mental resilience strategies in order to make sure I'm in a good space to perform. So now, during my talk, we've touched on the Super North Star, great strategy, great ethos, great warrior. When they're in equilibrium, you're going to be difficult to beat. If you're not in equilibrium, it just becomes a more difficult journey. The key thing on that journey is, even if it is in equilibrium, there are magnets. Now, a magnet on the journey takes the north pointer away from where it should go. My question to you is, what do you think the biggest magnet to success is? What's the biggest magnet to your success? What do you think it will be? And the usually answer is you. You'll be the biggest magnet. Do you want it enough? Are you going to fight for it? Are you going to stay focused? Second biggest magnet, the people you surround yourself with. The best environment to work in is a high support, high challenge environment. Too much high support does not work. Too much high challenge does not work. It's a combination between the two, and the research is really crystal clear. That's what you need. But of course, you've also got to watch people trying to bring you down to a lower level of expectation, because it doesn't suit their needs. So be aware of the people you are surrounded by. You want high support, high challenge people. And then there may be something else you've got to take into consideration, because all of us have to deal with some different difficulties in life. What I've tried to do in this short time is give you a whistle-stop tour over the key aspects of what I think a journey through life is about, because I honestly believe that when you've done that journey and you've got equilibrium in your compass, you can then do that most magical thing, which is give to other people, give that experience, give that knowledge, give back to society, which I think is the best legacy that you can leave. And I always think that, in the smallest thing for me, is if I can just leave a situation in a slightly better situation than when I arrived, even if that's by 1%, I've done my job. I've done something that's I should be proud of. Anything else is a plus. Are there any questions for me on anything I've covered whatsoever during my talk?
Thank you, Floyd. We've got just a few minutes, but not too many. So may I invite, as Floyd said, a question or two. Tim.
Yeah. Floyd, you were saying in terms of the visual journey for young people and attributing to their North Star, aiming for that. We do something very similar with our young people. I think the thing we find the most difficult is the system and the agencies who are around them actually blocking and stopping them from even being able to see their North Star. I hope I've explained that right.
No, I get it completely. And I think one of the things that we've tried to do, and what we try to do when we go into schools, I go into disadvantaged areas or prisons even, is I always try and take the agencies through the same kind of program. So before I do anything, what I want to do is make sure the people around them realize, do they have a North Star? Are they thinking about growing? Do they have that ability to realize that this is a journey through life? And so what I definitely try to do before I go into any group is I try and work with the ones that are definitely the influencers, the leaders of those organizations, to explain to them about how this can help them on their journey. And then I cascade down. So one of the things for me is always trying to take that collaborative group with you on the journey. Otherwise, it's difficult. And I'll give you an example of a prison. We went into one prison where they wanted us just to work with the prisoners. And I said, this will not work because I'm not there all the time. You've got to have the environment around them, which is supportive. Otherwise, it's a really big ask. It's a really big ask to try and change anything without doing that. We brought the prison officers in. They blew their minds as well. And once we engaged both groups, we had enormous success from that. And literally, I to be honest, I can give you one example. I went to one group, and Neil was involved in this, where I actually turned down the opportunity to do the job simply because the teams were not going to work together. They were trying to do this in a silo mentality. And it just meant that the team we wanted to help would never be supported enough for this to work. So that would be my point there.
And I think for us, it's that because it's there's a lot of multi-agencies around, and they're forever changing, or the school's forever changing, and that I think that's, the vision for the young person, even for them to have a feeling of that vision. Because again, we work with a lot of young people who are deprived, various different difficulties they've experienced in life, and even the sense of them having a hope and a vision is a new experience for them. But I think it's the transientness of them going in and out of various different agencies that often gets lost sometimes.
And what I would say, if I may, because again, I've been the same. I've been to loads of referral units, and what I found is this personally. That's why the map itself, and getting them to create their own map and draw it and make sure they take it with them, is a start point of also saying that, look, and I would be clear on the reality of this. If I'm not going to be with you, then you are going to need to look at this as well. So that's where the resilience side comes into play for me. You will have to fight for this as well. So it's creating that environment. And again, working with what you got. If I can't be with you and support you on a regular basis, whenever I come in, I want to see your map. And what I do find from this is, and I've come across lots of cynical groups in this with agencies that don't believe this. I've gone into a referral unit with 40 people when they've told me they'll never engage. And because of the way I've just done exactly the same way of showing videos, asking questions, and more importantly, doing what you will do, Tim, which is speak to the person and listen to what they want, get a hook, and then I'll spin the hook out, finding out what they want, not what I want. That's when I find you can reinforce resilience. And more importantly, you've got to, if you want this, sometimes you'll have to fight for it. If I can't help you, I'm going to give you the tools to do it by yourself.
And we've been using a tool called, we coined ours as Support Ed Road, which was based on from the learning disability sector of the person-centered plan. And we found it's worked really well with the kids.
Great.
Can I just take one more question from someone else? David, perhaps, or a Gladstone, or one of the people I can't see? Who would like to say something? David, unmute yourself.
Try and unmute myself, rookie error. Just want to say, I've been very, very fortunate to observe Floyd in action for a whole week, and then Neil came to my school to deliver a fantastic program for us on values-based education, and we've embedded fully with our year 6 the Compass for Life, and it's just a game changer. It really is. And if I can plug your book, Floyd, I've bought it 4 times and given it away 4 times, so it moves through my house so often.
David, thank you, and listen, Happy New Year. We must catch up. Definitely would like to catch up soon. So please send me a message later, and we'll speak.
Will do. Thank you.
Right. May I bring you all together now? I'm just looking at you all. There's so many inspiring people. Well, you're all inspiring in this call today. You know, Tim from Support Ed in Plymouth. Tim, the work you're doing with kids that have been thrown out of schools is absolutely amazing. Tim's work is going across the whole of Devon now. We've been privileged to audit his work, and Jane and I were just so amazed. So congratulations, Tim, on what you do. You know, David in Bristol doing fantastic work. Nick, great to see you here today too. And Gladstone, your work in university and all that you do, absolutely fantastic. So thank you all for supporting us tonight. And Floyd, may I say, that was absolutely incredible, because you did the 4 points so brilliantly within our time allotted. Absolutely masterful. There are 2 types of people, I think. There are the people that talk a lot and don't do anything. And there are people that talk, but do a lot as well. And that's where Floyd is in alignment. He doesn't just talk about things. Things actually happen because Floyd is there. He's changed Olympic teams. He's done so many incredible things based on his philosophy of the compass. It does work. It's tremendous. And I know it's taking off in education systems and in companies throughout the world. So great pleasure to support Floyd. And Floyd, heartfelt thanks from us all for coming out tonight and being with us. So very inspiring as always. Thank you very much. A last word, Floyd?
Neil, thank you so much for that. So that is so kind from you. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. If there's anything I can do to help any of you, go through Neil, come to me directly. I'm more than happy to help. And what I will do, if you would like, is I can send VB a number of books, and if those of you would like it, I'll just send it through, and they can pass it on to you. Or indeed, if you get me your addresses, I'll make sure you get a book if you would like one.
Oh, that's a very generous offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll follow up on that. The last thing to say is that on the 8th of March, Nicola Morgan will be joining us. Nicola is another inspiring person. She put on the Welsh National Education Show for 2 years running. She's a real inspiration. Coming back from New Zealand, I was asked by the editors of Routledge to look at her proposal for her next book, and it's outstanding. She's outstanding, got lots of ideas about family values. And so we'll look forward to seeing Nicola. So put it in your diary, 8th of March, the same time, 6 o'clock. May I thank Floyd once again for an inspirational session, and thank you all for coming. And to the worldwide community, lots and lots of love from the British Isles. Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.